Good morning to you from Oxfordshire, United Kingdom. My name is Luke Plowman, and I am one of your hosts of the broadcast of the World Othello Masters, a video presentation by the World Othello Federation. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my popular co-host from Down Under, Ivan Chan.
Not sure I'm very popular, Luke, but thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. This is Ivan Chan from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the broadcast of World Othello Masters. We start this series of video presentations with a view to comment on Othello and its national and international tournaments around the entire world. And what a better way to start the series than with our personal views about the World Othello Team Masters 2021 tournament, which has taken place online over the last few weeks with the participation of teams from 34 countries. And now it has started its next elimination round with the top 16.
We start by recalling that the World Othello Federation decided to not go on with the organisation of the World Othello Championships 2021. The over-the-board annual tournament, held in many countries, which has attracted the best players from many countries already over several decades. This decision was made in view of the sanitary emergency caused by the spread of COVID and the numerous travel and social emergency measures recommended and adopted by all levels of government, as well as national and international health organisations. Instead, the Federation decided to organise the World Othello Team Masters 2021 online.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Luke. What a pity, right? When COVID-19 struck and it has affected all walks of life. Do you agree, Luke?
Yes, absolutely. But I think having an online tournament and trying something new can very much open up new doors for the Othello community.
Do you remember last year, back in 2020, on the 1st of April, we brainstormed and we started the very first Othello WhatsApp group?
Yes, I initially thought it was April Fool's, but you were serious, so we went ahead and did it, and it's been really good and opened up the community to new players and put kind of average players such as myself in contact with some of the best players.
Yeah, before it happened, I remember we had to send each other, left a post on each other's Facebook page and wait for your reply, and we find it too time consuming. But now, do you know how many participants in the group nowadays?
I think it's about 90, isn't it?
Okay, hang on, let me check.
85.
Already?
Yep.
85.
Oh yes.
Oh, so we must be proud of that.
Yes, no, it's come a long way from its beginning of 2 people.
Fantastic. Well, now let's go back to the World Othello Team Masters. I'd like to talk about the structure of this tournament. This is a wonderful tournament, and many great players have participated. It starts off like this, the numbers like this. We have 2 teams from Africa, which are Ivory Coast and South Africa. 14 teams from Asia that include Australia, China, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Iran, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Mongolia, Pakistan, Singapore, Taiwan, and Vietnam. From Europe, there are 11 teams, which are Finland, France, Great Britain, Israel, Italy, Norway, Russia, Spain, Sweden, and Ukraine. And finally, 7 teams from America: Argentina, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and USA. I tell you what, Luke, before I saw some names, some countries, I never imagined there are Othello players in those countries like Pakistan, or Iran. Never heard of it until I saw them play online, and some players just amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's part of the beauty of having an online tournament, even if it's only for a year. We get to meet new players and new Othello enthusiasts. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and the total of 34 national teams were distributed among regional groups, loosely following the form adopted by the FIFA World Cup and FIFA Euros, in order to resemble this. You can check the results of these qualifying matches on the website at www.worldothello.org. To cut a long story short, we now have the remaining 16 teams distributed amongst 4 groups. Let's discuss each group separately in the top 16 round.
Yeah. Now I'm going to put a hat of sport commentator, try to do my best job. So let me talk about the first group, which is Group A. Group A is formed by 4 teams. They are China, South Africa, Malaysia, and Great Britain. Well, let's talk about China. China has such a strong team. And, Song Yan, who's a top player from China. Some people call him Yan Song because the last name comes last, from the English culture. But in Chinese, we put the last name first, which is Song Yan. And I think most of us nowadays, we are very culturally sensitive. Let me know that when we call him Song Yan, Song is the last name, and Yan is the first name. What do you reckon?
I don't mind. I think getting to understand these new cultures is really good, but at the same time, sticking to your own culture and learning to mingle with all these different cultures is part of the beauty of this tournament.
Fantastic. I remember I talked to some top players like Guy Plowman. I said Yan Song, and he found it just Song Yan that sounds more proper because top players like Guy or other top players, they're very culturally sensitive. They know the proper way to mention a player from a particular country. But if you call Yan Song right in front of Song Yan, right on his face, I don't think he minds either. Yeah. So get back to China. In its initial qualification round against Hong Kong, Iran, Australia, we're already out, and Indonesia, their players' average these logs range from 0.59 to 1.48. That's a very amazing number. And remember that, the lower the number, the better the result. So if you can play a 1.5 or 1.48 all the way from the beginning to the end, 13 rounds in World Othello Championship, you do it pretty decently. Yeah, you end up in the middle of the whole table. So it's such a strong team. And in this group, China is considered among the favorite team to move to the next round. Do you agree with me, Luke?
Yes. I think coming into this tournament, the 2 teams that most people would have as their favourites would be Japan and China. So it's kind of moved into almost a tale of, are any of the other countries strong enough to overcome these 2?
I think you have said no to me because you should bear it for Great Britain.
I like to pretend that Great Britain are stronger than they are, but I think China and Japan may possibly come out on top, but hopefully not.
Well, when we talk about Song Yan, his 4 games in World Othello Master is 0.59, which is a very, very low score. It seems like you're playing against a robot. So, just a friendly reminder for any players who are going to play against China, you got to be very, very vigilant. Otherwise, you get punished very, very badly. Next team I'd like to talk about is South Africa. South Africa defeated Ivory Coast in its African elimination round by a score of 28-4. Okay, and well, to be honest, not many people know about South Africa, but we know one strong player called Peter Thomas. He has an average this loss of 2.32. Well, if you compare to Song Yan, of course, there's a margin, But if a player can play 2.32 and he can play his favorite opening, he can still be very dangerous. So all the best to South Africa. The third team we'd like to talk about is Malaysia. Malaysia, well, with a surprising result, they only end up second to Japan in the qualification round. And they even ahead of Vietnam and Mongolia. So, well, to be honest, I think there was a very strong qualification group. Vietnam and Mongolia were able to capture most important wins. And however, they could not move to the next round. So, well, don't underestimate Malaysia in this group, even though you will have said that China and Great Britain are the outright favorite in this group, but Malaysia could bring out some surprising result. Malaysia had a very high quality team of 5 players. Okay, their average this loss is from 1.06 to 2.27. Okay, and Man Ju Lai is the most important player of the group. What I mean most important player is I think he has been performing the best for Malaysia team. Okay, and next team I'd like to talk about, of course, the last but not the least, is Great Britain.
And I would have talked about them, but we're trying to remain unbiased. So,
well, I know you're a fair person. Well, Great Britain is a team with a very long history in World Othello tournaments. Well, champions players all around, and even nowadays we still have players from the country. Okay, due to several combinations, I think Great Britain saw an impressive average this loss from 0.82 to 2.08 in the qualifying round, and Gary Emmett is at the top of the list. Do you know him?
Yes, he was actually my dad's best man at his wedding. So yeah, I'm aware of him.
Before you were born.
Before I was born. Yes, he was a very strong player back in the day. He was part of the UK team that won the World Team Championships. He hasn't played so much in on the board tournaments recently, but I think again having an online tournament, part of the good part of that is that it can bring people back as well.
Absolutely, and happy that he got on board on our Othello WhatsApp group lately.
Say that again. Sorry.
No, Gary actually he joined our WhatsApp group.
Yes, he did.
So, welcome, Gary. Yeah.
Yes.
And about Great Britain, there was one particular match I like to mention was there was a very special match by Helen Dester. I watched that one, and it was amazing. That well, normally I would have resigned under that situation, but he pulled a miracle and found a few moves and had a very, very brave comeback win. So, well, very happy for her.
Yes, she's a strong player. I've lost to her too many times.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is the brief analysis for these 4 teams: China, South Africa, Malaysia, and Great Britain. And look, I know that now you'd like to talk about Group B, right?
Group B, yes. Group B is formed by Japan, Argentina, Finland, and the USA. Japan won its initial qualification round in the Asian group against Malaysia, Vietnam, and Mongolia. Unfortunately, Thailand could not participate in this group for some reason. It could have made things very interesting in this Team Masters tournament. Japan is, as always, a team favourite in the On the Board World Championships, and certainly one of the favourites now. However, even more remarkable is the fact that Japan played in the initial stage of this tournament with a youth team, meaning that they played the qualifiers with a roster of players with an average age of younger than 13. Their 5-member team had an average disc loss range of between 1.06 to 1.5. Apparently, these players are rated at ELO scores of around 2000 in Japan. Nobody should be surprised if Japan appears in this top 16 round with a different team that reaches an even higher score of around 2,300 or higher. The only result obtained in this group so far has been the game played yesterday between Japan and the USA, with a win for Japan. Team Japan plays in coming weeks against Finland and Argentina. And moving on to Argentina. Yes?
We talk about Japan, right? The first time I met you in 2019
was in Japan.
Yeah, World Othello Championship. I remember the first night, the welcoming dinner was amazing. And I saw, over there, at the corner, there's a table of young gentlemen. They all in dark suits, look very, very, just look handsome, And I look at myself,
Yes.
Just in a bloody t-shirt, man. So it's just crazy.
And I think that year, that was 2019.
Yep.
I think that was both of our first World Championships that we had attended. And I think one of the most amazing things about it that no one really talks about was the fact that it was originally arranged to be in Hong Kong, but obviously due to political issues, it had to be rearranged at the last second to Japan. So that was an incredible event, and one that I will never forget, especially being my first. But that was actually a last minute arrangement as well. And just wow.
So you didn't plan to go to Hong Kong?
No. No, so yeah. Yeah, Japan, it was very good.
It happened to me as well. Originally, I wasn't representing Australia for the Hong Kong trip, but one player pulled a pin because, and he had to cancel everything, accommodation, air flights, everything. He wasn't happy. He said, well, I'm not going to Tokyo. I'm not going to buy another, air ticket to go to Japan. And then that's why, I got a chance and I'll take it.
Yeah, so obvious going to a country like Japan for people from the UK is quite a distance. So luckily for me, not many people could go from the UK, so I was able to take a spot. It was really, really good. I competed with my brother, and although it's absolutely team game, we were competing as a team. I did win more rounds than him, so that was the main win for me.
Yeah, both of you and your brother are very good sportsmen, and I really enjoy meeting you guys and playing with you guys. And but look, this Japan team is great. We have all these under 13 players, and I remember in the World Othello Championship, I played with a 10 years old boy in front of me, and he's little, but he is actually a giant in this game.
Yeah, I played Akihiro Takahashi, who went to win the whole World Championships that year, and he was, I think it was 14, and so it was crazy sitting down, facing someone half my size, twice the smile, and just being completely destroyed. He wiped me out. So he won 64-0, and It was painful and just awesome at the same time. It was very
Is
good.
it Takanashi or?
Takanashi was the guy that came second.
Yeah.
So it's Takahashi who won, and then Takanashi who came second.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it took me a while.
Well, let's
Yes.
move on to next
Argentina.
team.
Yes, so the next team in Group B is Argentina, and they're one of the strongest teams in the American continent. And its federation is actually one of the most active federations. They have organized a number of online tournaments in the region over the last couple of years, and they are a very experienced team that won its group ahead of Mexico, Brazil, and Chile. 7 Argentinian players showed a strong average disc loss range from 1.38 to 2.61 in the qualifying round, with Moro, not the best with some name pronunciations.
Yeah.
Thank you. With him finishing at the top of their list. The only result obtained in this group so far has been the game played last week between Argentina and Finland, with a result of 24-8 in favour of Finland. Argentina still has matches against the USA and Japan ahead.
All the best to Argentina, because it seems like, Japan and USA, they're most strongest team in this group. And Finland is the third strongest group. And if Argentina already lost to Finland, now next time they have to play a more stronger team like USA and Japan. And what you can do is, keep fingers crossed.
Yes, and even Finland is a team that is not to be underestimated. Absolutely. And Finland finished second to France and ahead of Ukraine and Israel in the preliminary round. The teams of Belarus and Netherlands could not participate in this group. While Belarus does not have a long tradition of participation in World Othello Championships, the Netherlands has placed top players in European and world tournaments in the past, some of whom I have come up against and done okay, maybe won a few, but in general, I lose to the Netherlands players, the Dutch players, very strong team. Yes, both teams could have changed the configuration of this group. The Finnish players showed an impressive average disc loss range from 1.25 to 1.99 in the qualifying round, with some strong players. Finland has games against Japan and the USA ahead, having defeated Argentina last week. And the final team is the USA. They decided to play in the qualifiers with 6 strong players, with an average disc loss score ranging from 0.96, so less than 1 disc loss, to 1.76, with Ben Seeley, who is a former world champion, at the top of their team. The configuration of the team is remarkable for the membership included, and also due to the absence of some very well-known on-the-board players, such as Johannes Chitra, who is rated at 2,146, and Brian Rose, who is rated at 2,100, and also Edmund Yu, who is rated at 2,072, amongst others. The USA finds itself placed in this round seeded as the weakest team in its American group, having lost the first place to Canada, but ahead of Colombia in the preliminary, that is a tough word, in the preliminary qualification round. Their first match in the top 16 round is against no other team than Japan, and that's today.
Yes, I tell you what, look, in Australia, we are lazy people. We call it prelim.
Prelim. I'm going to start using that. That's easier.
Just say prelim qualification.
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Red lorry, yellow lorry round.
Versus Canada. I watched that one. I think it came down to the very last match, and it was decided by the strongest players of each team. I think it's Team K versus Ben Sealy, and Team managed to beat Ben by 2 days. That's why USA came second.
Yes.
Well, USA is a strong team, especially when Ben Sealy is in there, and also Jared Brad and a young player called Avi, very very strong player as well, up and coming.
Yes. And I've met Ben Sealy a few times, and the amount of work that he actually puts into the game is astonishing. And it's definitely something that sets players like me and players like him apart. Every time he loses, he's looking to learn something from it, and kind of will go over and analyze it and really maximize his potential as an Othello player. And it's really cool to see.
Absolutely. How about we move on to Group C? Look,
Sounds good.
let me put my glasses on. Okay, Group C is formed by 4 teams: France, Russian, Federation, Korea, and Hong Kong. Let's talk about France first. France is a country with a very strong tradition of Othello, and it has one of the most respected and developed national federations. Team France won first place in its European group of the prelim round ahead of Finland, Ukraine, and Israel. They played with a team of 6 players in the preliminary round with average these loss scores in the range of 1.11 to 2.18, with Mark Hester at the top. I think Mark used to be the World Othello champion.
Yes, he's very, very strong.
Yeah, they played
Yes.
to a half-fought tie with Finland. But like the USA, France has not played so far with some of its top-rated players. Yeah, and name a few like Kashiwabara.
Kashiwabara, yes.
His ELO was 2169. And
Yes.
Paul Rowley, ELO 2116. I know the name Rowley because when I start playing Othello, after rabbit, you can choose the either diagonal. That one is easier. That will set you up for rolls. But another one is Rowley that I used to keep stuffing up and get smashed. So I know this game, trying to shy away from it.
That opening, it has some good lines and some bad lines, and the things that look obvious tend to be the bad lines. It's not a terrible opening though, I don't think.
No,
but yes, I know what you mean.
If you're good at anything.
Yes.
I'm just finding an excuse. And Stefan Nicolet, 2109. Okay, Team France played a half-forced draw against Hong Kong last week and still has games against South Korea and Russia ahead during the next weeks. Okay, next team I'd like to talk about is Russian Federation. Well, Russian in its European group, they won the group actually against Britain, Sweden, Spain, Italy, and Norway. It's a group of death actually. Team Russia played with 7 players in the prelim round with average this loss from 0.75 to 2.30, with Dmitry Grisham at the top. Okay, some great players like Dmitry Atamanov. His ELO score is 2103. Dmitry like to do the memes, on the WhatsApp, always have funny stuff posting, and he's a great player. I play against him a couple of nights ago before I went to bed, and I had a nightmare. It's a 6-10 player.
Absolutely.
It's great. Alexander Shevchenko, Ivan Gotorov, and Dmitry Grisham. So Team Russia has games against France and Hong Kong ahead, having defeated South Korea last week. Okay, Korea is the 3rd team. They won its Asian preliminary group behind India and ahead of Taiwan, Singapore, and Pakistan. Korea plays a team of 9 players with average this loss scores in the range of 0.65 2.71 with an impressive Taeyong Shaw at the top. That Shaw is amazing. Watch him play a few times. If you look at his World Othello record, he beat a lot of top players. It's an amazing player. Very cool and calm. Korea has still matches against Hong Kong and France ahead, having lost a tight 14-18 match against Russia that I just mentioned before. Last but not the least is Hong Kong. Hong Kong entered the top 16 round through a very difficult journey against Australia and China, but they managed to come through it and then join the Group C with Russia, France, and Korea now. Hong Kong's already had a tie against an experienced French team, and they have a lot of good players as well that they can rotate and then find the players who have good form and play on the day. So this group is very hard to predict, but I think we'll talk about later. So, Luke, you want to talk about Group D?
Let's do it. So, Group D is formed by Canada, India, Iran, and Sweden. And Canada, to start off with, won first place in its American prelim group. That's a useful tip. I'll use that. Ahead of the USA and a young Colombian team. Their team was formed by 6 players in the prelim round, with average disc loss scores in the range of 1.13 to 2.33. With, oh boy, Tim.
Just say Tim. Everyone call him Tim
Good
K.
old Tim. Tim K.
Tim K. Yeah. Don't try, mate. Don't try.
Yeah. Oh man. With Tim at the top, all of the Canadian players have had experience in over-the-board tournaments. Team Canada already played a very difficult match against Sweden to a draw of 16-16. It still has matches against Iran and India in the weeks ahead. India won first place in its Asian prelim group ahead of the South Korea team, the Taiwan team, Singapore, and Pakistan. Their team was formed by 8 players in the prelim round with an average disc lost in the range of 0.4 to 3.04. And Ivan, 0.4 is very, very strong, isn't it?
This is world-class score.
Absolutely. With Mehul, how do you pronounce that? Yes, Mehul. Some of these names are difficult. So again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing any, but I'm trying my best.
Well, that's why we call it. You have to be culturally sensitive, because there's no more, Peter, Paul, and Mary. It's not as easy as the old days.
All I can say is, if anyone watching this wants to call me Lucky or Luck or anything, I won't be offended.
No.
I'm trying my best here. Anyway, yes, with Mehul at the top, not only amongst the teams, the members of his team, but the whole tournament. So he had the strongest score in terms of discs lost out of anybody. And this is truly astonishing. For a comparison, the table of the top 10 players during the prelim stage is Mehul at the top with 0.46 average disc lost. Then Yan Song in second with 0.59. And then in third, Jai Young Saw with 0.65 lost. And so Mehul not only had the fewest discs lost, but he beat out second place by over 0.1 discs lost, which is a very, very strong achievement. So well done.
Looking forward to this consistent effort by Mehul, and then well, surely we'll see wonderful matches. If Mehul play with are the top players, and don't miss those matches. We got to watch them.
Absolutely. And to see these up and coming players as well, once over the board games start again and the World Championships happen, it will be really cool to see some of these relatively new players compete at the top level there as well. Very exciting. Yes, so India have already played a match against Iran and lost 10-22. It still has matches against Sweden and Canada in the upcoming weeks. The next team is Iran, and they're a national team which do not appear to have had a member in an over-the-board world tournament, but has become the biggest surprise of this online tournament. It came in second place, only behind China, but ahead of a strong Hong Kong, Australian, and Indonesian Asian group. Their team was formed by 6 players in the prelim round, with an average disc lost score in the range of 1.28 to 3.04, with Amariza Shekaka at the top. Iran defeated India 22-10 last week and still has matches against Canada and Sweden in this group. Now on to Sweden. Sweden is a national team with a long experience and a strong federation. And obviously, the World Othello secretary, Bengt, is part of their nation. So we all love Sweden. Yes, so just like Hong Kong in the Asian group, Sweden had a difficult journey to the top 16 round, having finished third in its European group, behind Russia and Great Britain, but ahead of Spain, Italy, and Norway. Their team was formed by 8 players in the prelim round, with an average disc lost of ranging from 0.96 to 1.83, with Matthias Andersson at the top. Sweden had a tie with Canada last week, but it still has matches against India and Iran in the coming weeks. It has a strong pool of players to draw from, which may still join their team in the future, such as Oscar Eklund, who has a rating of 2,205, Christian Gardebrink, who has a rating of 2,199, and Niklas Vettergren, who has a rating of 2,098, among several others. And yes, Sweden's actually one of the few countries that I've been to play Othello in. Other than the UK, I've been to Sweden and Japan. And the thing I remember about Sweden is that I ate reindeer and I felt a bit bad for Santa, but it was pretty tasty.
I don't know much about Sweden. I only know about Sweden is IKEA. When you go shopping, you buy a bookshelf.
Yes, lots of flat packed stuff.
Do you have IKEA in Britain?
Yeah. I think it's a pretty international brand.
The best thing is usually in IKEA, you go have a very free lunch. Not free lunch, very cheap lunch. Like you get a sausage roll or something like that. Sausage will cost you $1.
Yes. And as well as these cheap lunches, they have a strong Othello team. So that is a country that is winning.
Yeah, that's a good mix, right? Strong Othello team and a cheap lunch.
It's a winning combination.
Yeah.
So, time to make inaccurate and potentially embarrassing predictions, Ivan. 2 questions. The first one, what exciting developments and matches do you look forward to in Group A? And what are your predictions for the results in Group A?
Well, it's hard, when you come down to like this, you have to make an accurate prediction. I find it very difficult for me. I'm a bit like Pele, when you Pele, when you talk about soccer, which team is going to win the World Cup next year? You tip that team, they're out in the first round. So I don't want to be a Pele. But we will look at this Group A between China, South Africa, Malaysia, and Great Britain. I have to tip China. China on top of the group, and then Great Britain comes second. What do you think?
I mean, as a Brit, I think Great Britain will win, cause the upset of the group. China will come second. Yes, I definitely think that.
Yep. So this is very a sure bet, right, Quinella?
Oh yes.
Look, now let me return you the favor. What exciting development you look forward to find in Group B, and what's your prediction?
My prediction for Group B is, I think what's exciting about it is that it has two of the strongest teams in the USA and Japan. Obviously, both with world-class players. I think that Japan will win the group. But I wouldn't be surprised if another team were able to cause an upset, especially with the USA maybe not being quite as strong as they have been in the past. I think it will be exciting to watch.
You are tipping Japan.
Yes, I think Japan will win that group.
So second?
Second, I would have said USA, but I think Finland are possibly also a contender. I think that's possibly one of the strongest groups, because Argentina obviously are a strong team as well. So
cool. I'll tip Japan and USA. Japan comes first. USA
yep. The Japanese people were so polite. You have to put them first. Anyway, what are your embarrassing predictions for Group C?
Group C is very tough. France, Russia, Republic. Well, I was born in Hong Kong, so I want Hong Kong to come first. Okay, this is just a sentimental prediction. And second team comes second. I think Russia. So I'll tip Hong Kong and Russia.
Yes, the Russian team the Russian Federation have put on some exciting tournaments over the last few years. So a very active federation, and it would be cool for them to do well as well. But again, another close group.
So which team do you tip?
For Group C, I think I'm not sure. I think Russia will, but I wouldn't be surprised again if other teams do. I think these are all pretty close groups.
So let's wait and see. So last group, Group D.
Group D. So obviously India look like the strong favourite for that group at first glance, but they lost their initial game in this group, didn't they? So that's already thrown a spanner in the works. Who did they lose to? They lost to Iran, who coming into the tournament would have been one of the underdogs for sure, having not played too much over the board. So although I would have probably predicted India to win the group, I honestly don't know. I'm just going to go with Sweden because I like reindeers to eat.
I really got no clue about this team. Iran is very dangerous. India's been playing very well. All four teams are playing very well. I think this is the true group of death, and just all the best to every team. That's what I can say. Yeah, there's no point making false prediction, because I know I'm not going to pick the right team to come on top. It's almost impossible.
Yes, we'll have to see if Mehul is able to guide India through the rest of the group. Because they're still in with a chance. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yes, so that's all the groups covered. Yes, I look forward and invite everyone watching this to watch the games unfold live on Vint at www.vint.ee/ENGB/games/Othello. And the link will be posted on our social media at World Othello Federation on
And remember to follow all the news about Othello and World Othello Team Masters 2021 at www.worldothello.org. One final word. We're grateful for the enormous amount of work done by all those involved in the organization of this tournament. The executives at the WOF, the tournament director, the national federations, and the players themselves.
And as always, please remember, Othello, 1 minute to learn
and a lifetime to master.